These women are completely out of touch with reality. And you're right, ABC should wake up.
They are now unloading all their nasty attacks on rising Trump White House star and new press secretary, Caroline Leavitt. Watch this.
It's not a terrible thing to be. That's why we fought. That's what we're fighting for, so that you could stand in that.
In the fast-paced world of daytime television, few shows have generated as much heat as The View. For years, it's been a battleground of bold opinions, fiery debates, and controversial takes. But recently, the very same show that thrived on controversy is now at the heart of its own massive scandal. Over 30 defamation lawsuits, a network scrambling to protect its reputation, and a show on the verge of being shut down. What happened? How did the hosts of The View, once seen as the queens of daytime talk, go from throwing shade at everyone else to finding themselves the target of serious legal attacks? It's a tale that's part drama, part legal nightmare, and all chaos. Hold on, because this isn't just another Twitter storm or political squabble. This is the kind of crisis that could change the future of daytime television forever. It's been one of the most shocking turns in television history. Over 30 defamation lawsuits, some targeting major public figures, some more personal than others, all piling up against The View in a matter of months. If you'd asked anyone a year ago if this would happen, they would have laughed. The View has always been a show built on controversy. From calling out politicians to ripping apart celebrities, the hosts have spent years giving their bold, often unfiltered opinions on just about anything. But this time, something changed. The words that had always landed with a thud on social media were now leading to lawsuits. And not just any lawsuits, defamation suits from some of the biggest names in the world. Melania
Podium, so that Karine Jean-Pierre could stand at that podium, so women of all colors and
The ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists, but
wherever they came from, whatever their belief system was, they had the opportunity to bust down that door.
They have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years.
Melania Trump, Carrie Underwood, and Elon Musk were all named in these legal battles. And these weren't the typical, my feelings were hurt types of suits. These were high-profile, costly, and potentially career-ending. It wasn't just that The View had been controversial before. It was that now, those controversial words were landing in courtrooms. The same media machine that thrived on holding others accountable was now facing accountability itself. So why now? The View has been known for stirring the pot for years. Why, after all this time, are the lawsuits suddenly piling up? The tipping point, many argue, came when the hosts of The View crossed a line. Their usual political commentary and celebrity gossip weren't enough this time. Instead, they made bold, defamatory accusations, statements about people's personal lives and careers that were deemed false, reckless, and, most importantly, damaging. For years, The View has built its brand on firing shots at anyone and everyone. But this time, they weren't just ruffling feathers. They were dragging the reputations of real people through the mud, and those people were fighting back. The major names involved, Melania Trump, Carrie Underwood, Elon Musk, were no strangers to public criticism, but this was different. They had the legal resources to take action. The truth is, these lawsuits had been a long time coming. When the hosts began to make accusations that they couldn't back up, they opened the door for what we're seeing now. Defamation suits that could bring the show to its knees. But the bigger question is, why did the hosts think they were untouchable? Why did they assume their comments, their words, would come without consequence? The fallout was immediate. Social media exploded. News outlets were running stories with headlines like, "The View faces over 30 defamation lawsuits and ABC network in crisis mode." The backlash didn't just come from the usual political critics or angry viewers. No, this time, it came from lawyers, public figures, and high-profile celebrities who are now suing for defamation. And here's the kicker. Unlike the typical online outrage that The View could laugh off with a witty remark or a controversial segment, these lawsuits weren't going away. The legal machinery was in full swing. The View wasn't just facing a few angry letters or Twitter rants. It was facing the very real possibility of losing millions in legal fees and damages. At first, the network and the hosts tried to downplay the situation. "Oh, it's just another controversy," they shrugged. "People get upset, but we've weathered worse storms before." But this time they were wrong. They had underestimated the power of defamation suits, and what they could do to a
These women are completely out of touch with reality, and you're right, ABC should wake up.
So that you could stand in that podium, so that Karine Jean-Pierre could stand at that podium, so women of all colors and
show's finances and reputation. The audience may have been upset before, but this was no longer just about hurt feelings or controversial comments. This was about the very real consequences of making accusations without proof. And the stakes were much higher than anyone realized. Behind the scenes at ABC, panic had set in. The network's legal team was working overtime, scrambling to deal with the lawsuits. No one had expected this kind of fallout. After all, The View had been a staple of daytime television for so long. The idea that it could be suspended or even canceled seemed unthinkable. But it wasn't just about keeping the show on air. The bigger issue was the money. The network was looking at the possibility of massive legal payouts. Lawsuits cost money, and in the world of network television, millions in damages could be devastating. ABC executives were faced with an impossible decision. Should they keep The View on air and risk bankrupting the network with legal fees? Or should they cut their losses and shut it down? After intense discussions behind closed doors, ABC made the brutal call to suspend The View indefinitely. The network wasn't in a position to gamble with their future, and they couldn't afford the mounting legal fees. Shutting the show down was their best option to prevent further financial losses. But this wasn't just a suspension. It was a statement. The network was in full crisis mode, and suspending the show was their way of preventing the damage from spreading. What about the hosts? How did Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, and Sunny Hostin react to the news? Were they blindsided by the suspension? Of course they were. These women had been on The View for years, weathering controversies and criticism from both viewers and celebrities. They were used to being the center of attention, but never like this. As the news spread, the hosts scrambled to manage the fallout. Publicly, they kept their composure, saying all the right things. But behind the scenes, it was chaos. They had never faced something like this before. These weren't just angry tweets or bad press. These were lawsuits. The reality of the situation hit hard, and the hosts now had to face the consequences of their words. Were they sorry? It's unclear. What was clear, however, was that they were in uncharted territory. For the first time, they weren't the ones on the attack, they were the ones being attacked. So, what happens next for The View? Will the show return to the airwaves? Could this be the end of an era for one of the longest-running talk shows in television history? The future is now uncertain. ABC has put the show on hold, but could they pull the plug entirely? With the network losing millions in potential legal damages and the public outcry growing louder, there's no telling if The View will come back. The reality is that television networks have to think about more than just their ratings. They have to think about their bottom line, and right now, The View is costing ABC more than it's worth. Speculation is running wild. Could The View be replaced by a more conservative, politically neutral show? Could the hosts be replaced entirely? No one knows for sure, but one thing is clear. This could be the beginning of the end for The View as we know it. As we wrap up the story, one thing is certain. The View has changed forever. Whether it will return to the airwaves or be replaced by something entirely new, the show will never be the same again. The legal battles are still far from over, and the fallout from this defamation crisis will be felt for years to come. Was this the end of a TV legend? Or is The View just entering a new phase of drama? Only time will tell, but for now, the fate of the show remains up in the air. So, what do you think? Will The View come back from this crisis? Or has its time come to an end? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates as this story continues to unfold. The drama is far from over, and we'll be watching every step of the way.